What's up and welcome back. I'm John Stark from BackTheMovieGuy.com, your favorite blind film critic, and today we're going to talk about Highest to Lowest, which is an A24 movie in conjunction with Apple Films. It's now available on Apple Plus. It did have a short theatrical run. It was also a Cannes premiere this year. So I'm just now getting around to seeing the film. It's a little over 2 hours. It's not terribly long, but it is directed by Spike Lee, and it stars Denzel Washington in sort of the main role. Notably, I would also cite Jeffrey Wright as being definitely a strong reason to watch the film. And the rest is just sort of like an ensemble cast of people that pop up in roles in and around Denzel as Mr. King, the head of a record company. He's a successful record executive, and he's entering sort of his golden years and thinking about what he wants to do. Does he want to sell his company and spend more time with his wife, who's a former pop singer herself, a successful artist? Or does he want to stay in the business, and is he too afraid to give away his legacy? He also has a kid, Trey, who is really into basketball. Maybe he has a future in that. And Trey plays with, I don't know if they're like literal cousins or if Paul is the literal brother, but they use the term uncle and cousin a lot for this other set. So Trey's plays with his cousin, and there's a character, Paul, which is Jeffrey Wright's character, who is around Denzel a lot as sort of like a right-hand man type character, until such time that the film changes it all up and throws the proverbial plot grenade in there and shakes it all up. So we establish everything and everybody's location. Then the inciting incident here is that it starts off with Paul gets a call that his son, who's supposed to be at a training camp with Rick Fox, who is actually playing himself, because Rick Fox has done some acting, but they actually bring him in to play Rick Fox as a basketball coach for this training camp, that his son has been kidnapped and that he needs to pay out $17.5 million. Well, the problem with that is that Denzel has just decided to leverage everything to try to keep his record label, to keep people from buying it out. He wants to buy out his partner so that way he has enough shares to block a vote to sell to another company. So if he gives up the $17.5 million, it means he's giving up his company, which he's willing to do because it's his son, it's because it's Trey. But then it turns out it's not Trey. The idiots, they grabbed the wrong kid. They grabbed Paul's kid, and suddenly everything changes and everything shifts, and it's all about this morality tale of, does Denzel pay even though it's not his kid? Because he's still expected to, the world, how it looks at him. Spike Lee has some really interesting commentary on cancel culture and how it looks at a man who has the ability to do something and then maybe isn't doing it, and will he, even if he keeps the 17.5 million to try to save his company, will his company even be worth anything, because nobody will listen to it, because everybody will hate him for letting the other kid die. Even Trey's getting blowback, even though he didn't do anything wrong. People are like, it should have been you, you should have been the one who was kidnapped. So, and that's kind of a twist, but it's also kind of what the movie's actually about. So, that's where the movie goes from there, and then trying to figure out where is this kid, and do I pay the ransom, tracking that down. And It's adapted from a novel called King's Ransom, which was first adapted by Akira Kurosawa into a film called Haidalo, which I haven't seen. A lot of a lot of international films just don't have audio description, so if I didn't see it before I lost my vision, then good luck. So, and that wasn't. I actually have seen Seven Samurai. I own the Criterion of that, so I have seen at least a Kurosawa movie, um, but not Haidalo. So I don't know necessarily what Lee is changing or how much homage he's paying here. Um, I do know that my least favorite Spike Lee movie, his worst movie, in my opinion, is Old Boy. The last time he tried to remake something that he shouldn't have. Spike Lee is an excellent director, and usually it's when he comes up with his own ideas and crafts something of his own accord. I mean, he's got some just fantastic movies. Even recently, he's not somebody who has. I don't think he's somebody who's given up in the last couple of years. I really enjoyed films like Black Klansman and Defy Blood. So, uh, highest to lowest is, it feels extremely melodramatic, and the score is not helping it. This is my least favorite score of the year. I don't know. I don't know why we have this score. I don't know how we acquired the score. I don't know what Spike Lee was thinking when he said yes to the score, or what notes he was giving. But it feels like a score that could be a score to anything. Literally anything. Like if you were playing a video game and you were sitting there and you were like in one of those cut scenes, right? Like you walk into a shop and before you can buy anything, you have to like listen to the shopkeeper talk for a while. So there's just like music that's like underscoring it. It's so bland and uninteresting, and it doesn't do anything for the movie. For Spike Lee, to have that in a Spike Lee movie is weird. And I'm not saying that this movie needed like a hip hop track or something like that. It just needed something, though. It needed something with some verve in it, some pulse, something, some life. This is the worst score I've heard in the year. It has nothing to do with the movie. It does nothing for the movie. It doesn't build any tension. It feels cheap. It feels like it could have been like AI created. Like it's very, and I don't know if he's paying homage to Kurosawa's movie, maybe using just because, but you're reinventing it. You know what I'm saying? Like this is modernized. This is today. This is now. You moved it to New York. You've got a record executive, and that's the thing that I think is the missed opportunity here. Is you've got somebody who supposedly knows music and has their ear to the ground on this shit, and actually like listens to. There's a scene where Denzel, he's trying to figure out. He's having sort of like a moment where he's self monologuing, and he reflects to these like greats of the past, like, what would you do, Aretha? You know, like I don't know, could we get her music in this movie? Like anything like would be. I I I don't know how much worse you could make the score. The score was so distracting it affected my score for the movie. That's rare. Like I almost never am sitting through a movie going, "What the is this score?" I spent so much time distracted by the score. I hated it so much. It was so distracting. Um, the rest of it is just sort of like it feels longer than it needs to be. Yet it's just because of the pacing. Like it's very uh contemplative, I would say. It spends a lot of time with Washington like thinking. So in what should feel like a little bit more of a thriller of some kind, or a little bit more of a suspense or an action movie, or a little bit more of a crime movie, is really just sort of a morality tale. So it almost sort of clashes with the idea and the concept of what it, you know, what it seems to want to be. So the couple of scenes that you get that are a little bit more uh, pitched up in terms of action, uh, they end up not really fitting with the rest of the movie because the movie is, like I said, it's very, very melodramatic. It's a lot of scenes with people like staring off and looking and pondering and thinking about things and conversations about, well, what if I do this? And oh, the world will hate you for this. And it's an interesting tale that weaves itself that talks about this highest to lowest. Like conceptually, there's some great shit here in Spike Lee's film about being on top, and then what that really means, what that really entails, and sort of the traps you can fall into, uh, rather stupidly also, um, and how that all works out for everybody. But also, he Denzel's character didn't get to the top because he's dumb. He got to the top because he's smart, because he's savvy. So it's interesting to sort of see how, even though this kidnapper thinks that they've got him, uh, do they? Do they really? So it's not a bad movie, uh, but it's not a good one, and it's disappointing from the angle of a Spike Lee joint. um, and it's certainly, I was thinking about, I was like, where are the A24 vibes? Like, for people who are all about that like A24 vibe life, I'm like, I don't know, man. I'm not sure this has any vibes. I couldn't tell you what this lands with. If I saw this cold and didn't know who made it, I wouldn't have guessed Spike Lee. And I wouldn't guess A24 was distributing it. I just because Denzel's in a movie doesn't make me go, ooh, Spike Lee. I'd be like, I don't know, Denzel Washington is working with some new director who found a script that, you know, probably needed to be reworked another time, but was really close to being great. And we went with that. It's so close, but there are elements of it that make it not work, and those elements often really kind of defeat the movie. I really did like Jeffrey Wright as Paul. I thought he did a nice job. Um, and I think the audio description highlights both the performances of Denzel and Jeffrey perfectly. But and there's some really good dialogue here. I mean, Denzel makes everything seem like he's reading some, like Shakespeare, basically. It's just he can take the lines, and whether they work or don't work, whether you're afterwards you think about it and you go, what did he just say? It sounds great. Like he just makes it into some sort of like profound statement no matter what. But I was so frustrated with this whole movie the whole time. I was sitting there going, I don't know what I'm going to do with this. I have to review this. Is this fresh? Is this rotten? Living in this fresh or rotten world is just, would I recommend it? Would I not recommend it? Would I recommend it? Would I not recommend it? Man, that's tough with this one because there is some good stuff here. There's kind of a cool uh, dissection of cancel culture that is in this movie. There are some good performances, but to say that this is Spike Lee's best film is far from the truth. And like, slap anyone who thinks that, because this is in no way, in no way, they would be doing the wrong thing by saying that. Um, I mean, it's hard for an auteur like Spike Lee to actually top himself this late in his career, because he's got films that are considered to be, iconic, like some of the best films of all time. So it's not like he was ever going to do that. But I don't think he's top Black Klansman and Defy Bloods. I think he's top Old Boy. Like, I would put this easily above Old Boy, and maybe some films like Girl Six and stuff like that. But I think at the end of the day, this is one of the weaker Spike Lee movies. And if we're looking at this from an Oscar perspective, there's a reason they dropped this in August. There's a reason this is like a September release. Uh, Apple is, I guess, hoping The Lost Bus will work for them. Yeah, this is not going to be an Oscar player. This is going to get no nominations. I can guarantee that. It's a mess of a film, and I don't know where it would possibly get nominated. Um, so yeah, there's a performance here from A$AP Rocky, but it's not that revolutionary. He's fine. He's sort of playing himself. I mean, supporting cast, standouts. I mean, I'm always interested when we choose people like LaChanze to come in for a role, because when Broadway talent steps into film or television, it's always fun to see them do roles outside of that. But I don't know, they're kind of small roles. So, and it's not a lost cause. This is very close. But man, I hated the score. Like, oh my God. And scores, I think, become more important to me, and the sound design and stuff like that, because I'm not as affected, obviously, by cinematography and production design and costume design, although sometimes that is translated through audio description. Here, we spent a lot of time in Washington's penthouse. There isn't a lot of action. It's not a pulse pounding thrill ride. This isn't even like Inside Man, which is another one of my favorite Spike Lee movies. I love that movie. This is just, I think it just misses the mark. I do. And so at the end of the day, I'm gonna go rotten on it. I hate doing that. And I was really optimistic about coming into this movie and coming and being like, oh, well, I'm sure Spike Lee made at least a good movie, and maybe I'll be one of the outliers who will be like, the highest to lowest is in my top 10 of the year. You all, I knew it kind of had a muted reception, but I often have films in my top 10 that other people don't, and I don't care. I'm just like, whatever, I like that movie. I don't care if you do or not. So, but I can't say that I enjoyed this, and I wouldn't recommend it. And at the end of the day, that's what it comes down to, is would I recommend it and would I know? Because if you're coming to me and you're saying, I'm a Spike Lee fan, I've seen all of his stuff, should I see highest to lowest? I'm going to say, you're a Spike Lee fan, so yeah, you should see it because you've seen all of his stuff. If you've seen every Spike Lee joint, then yeah, keep seeing all of Spike Lee's films. That's an obvious choice. But if you're coming to me and you're like, hey, I need a movie to watch, is highest to lowest worth my time? I'm probably going to recommend something else. I'm like, not really. It's okay. Have you seen these other Spike Lee movies? Why don't we start you over here? So, and because of that lack of ability to recommend is why it falls a little bit short for me. So it's like slightly rotten, just barely. My cutoff is a 6 out of 10, and I'm giving this a 5.8 out of 10. I know that's it's very nebulous, but the difference there is that while I acknowledge that there are some things that are good in this movie, ultimately the final product doesn't work. Ultimately, the cohesive element that ends up coming out of this film is not something that I would say, yes, you should watch highest to lowest. I'm intrigued, and I wish films, this is where it's like being blind and international films, and I constantly try to say, we need more audio description, because I hate the fact that now that I'm blind, I can't see those international titles because I don't speak like 100 different languages, and they rarely ever have audio description. But I would have loved to have paired this with watching high to low, and now I'm just being punished for not having seen every single international film I possibly could have before losing my vision. So I can't compare it, so I have no idea what Spike Lee's thing is. But like with Old Boy, it was like, well, obviously the other one is better. I don't. This might actually be better than Kurosawa's. I doubt it is, but it's just also when you talk about Kurosawa, most people don't say High to Low as being his best film, so it has a shot, but that's unlikely. I think Spike Lee probably needs to stay away from remaking these sort of iconic films from iconic directors. So that's it. That's highest to lowest. Let me know what you think in the comments. And am I being too hard on highest to lowest? Give me a hot take because I struggled with this. But ultimately, like I said, at the end of the day, what it comes down to is I'm here to tell you, did I like it and would I recommend it? And the answer to both of those questions is no. Do I respect the hell out of Spike Lee? Fuck yes, I do. Denzel, yep. Jeffrey Wright, yep. Like, I mean, all those questions are true regardless of whether or not this movie exists. But I did not like this movie. So, anyway, thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing, and I'll see you guys on the other side.